Ghouls, humans, and fellow weird ones, let's drink some moon juice. I feel super dehydrated. I'm in my luteal phase, apparently. According to my Stardust app, I gotta keep water with me instead of dehydrating myself with coffee and tea. I'm out of my decaffeinated stuff, so I know the caffeine is just not helping anything. Anyway, let's drink some moon juice and let's get started with this video. So this one's really funny. And I love that I kind of started off chaotic because it reminds me of my very first podcast. Because this is the topic of what the very first podcast, what I had thought it was intended to be, and kind of what I had rehearsed, but I've also talked about it. This is just, it's really a lengthy topic. And so I'm like, do I need to do a series of it? What I really need is more direction, which is something I've learned, hi buddy, which is something I've learned through like TikTok and a couple people that talk to me directly through like comments and stuff like that, and then I reply to their comment. I really benefit from like a direct initiation on teaching and expressing. So I wanted to like really encourage people to like ask really specific questions, genuinely, authentically, like to kind of focus on what I'm trying to talk about. So because this ties into my OT career and like task analysis and function and independence and all kinds of other things. And so I want to incorporate that, but I've expanded it beyond just the OT perspective, but like the spiritual perspective. And that is making everything sacred. And Bayless is Jersey boy. That is making everything sacred, and that is being intentional with everything, which is overwhelming, and you can burn yourself out. But I think that that kind of relates to sun energy. And so for me, with a Leo moon, so sun and moon, kind of like an eclipse coordination, but the sun also learning to wax and wane in a sense, but like rise and set, even though it's always technically shining. I could argue, so is the moon, maybe, depending on your perspective, right? So all of that comes back to the conclusion of ritualizing your routine. And how do you do it? Which is what Riley and I had talked about doing a podcast together for. And then I don't fully know exactly what it turned into, because I really was trying to nail in that, like, where do you start? Well, it's really complex. So I'm probably gonna try to break this down into a series with specific questions, but to, I guess, conclude some things, tie up more loose ends, but go even further to continue to build and initiate what I'm trying to awaken, to teach, to share with the world, is how to reconnect with spirit. And that's like the perspective that I've added with ritualizing your routine. I have taken the OT model, the psychological model, all these models that I taught through school and other experiences, and then through self-taught, like spirituality, in a variety of different mediums, books, online resources, personal gnosis, conversations, just everything. Like I've really had to sit with this, and this has been something that I've been working on for a very long time for myself, as well as trying to teach others, because like my career was occupational therapy, which is teaching people how to be independent. And it's like, well, how do I teach people how to be independent when I don't even know if I'm independent? Am I independent? Am I sovereign? Am I free? And I started to realize I was not. I started to realize that most people aren't, and we all have these limitations. Some are good, most are bad. Or most are just unhealthy. They're not established properly for like flow. There's rigidity to it. It's bumpy. It's not smooth. It's not really fun. So here's the thing. People say discipline is not fun. No, like you should have this like joy. You may not feel like doing it some days, but there should still be like a joy. And it's not like a necessarily just an endorphin reward. Like there should be a genuine positive relationship and correlation to your intention to doing it. Most of the time, lack of motivation is because intentions are misaligned, and I think that ties into like depression, and you just don't have the energy to do it because you're not doing it for the right reasons, and you're also maybe you're not doing it the right way. Like I could say, like, I didn't force myself to be a powerlifter, but there was a time where it's like I'm not a powerlifter anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Just like I didn't want to be a swimmer anymore. I didn't want to be a volleyball player anymore. I wanted to be a cheerleader. I wanted to be a dancer, but that was out of my reach. And so I'm just going to go to the gym. I didn't really want to be a cheerleader and like go fight roar type shit, but like as in like stunts, gymnastics, like I love that. That always seemed to be like too expensive. And they're all expensive sports. Like, so there was all these like limitations. And so how do you align yourself? How do you heal yourself? How do you teach yourself to be independent? Especially when maybe you have gone through something like trauma or a negative environment, not nutritious, sorry, I know that sounds so stupid, but a not nutritious environment. Sorry, my brain just fucking flaked on what that word was to speak it. So dumb. Anyway, a toxic environment, and all of you, like there's a shift, there's a change. Something happened and you're not able to function. There is dysfunction, and there could be dysfunction for a variety of reasons. And that's where it could be mental health, it could be physical, it could be sensory. So many layers, and sometimes it's a little bit of everything, because if one thing is off balance, it's just a domino effect from there. And so I really learned a lot in OT. But the biggest part is admitting that you have a problem and identifying the shadow. I think I beat that today, talked with Riley. And so if your dad's here early, I'm gonna be so annoyed. So I really want people to focus on, like, that's how you start. You have to acknowledge you want a change and that you're going to be willing to do what you need to do to change. And you're gonna acknowledge your limitations. Like, you have, and that's where you start, because then the whole point is to break the limitations, right? It's to release them, to heal them. But you can't do that unless you acknowledge them. So that's like, hey, I have these dark thoughts. Hey, I'm feeling this way. It's being really honest, right? About who you are and how you feel. And that can be a scary place to start, because sometimes you find that you're not a good person. You don't like these things about yourself or whatever it is, or like you realize you're wasting your life. You realize, oh, maybe I am like two-faced, because like this is how I really feel, but this is what's polite, and I don't want to be a bad person. You know, too many people are worried about being deemed a good person or a bad person, and I've been one of them. Because like I genuinely have a good heart. I believe I do. I don't know how I don't. You know, I'm kind of tired of trying to make myself be a monster or a villain or any of these things. Not to say that I'm an angel, because I'm flawed, I'm human, but I know that I have something benevolent to share. I understand my own maliciousness and malicious tendencies, and I'm not ashamed of them, and I try to channel them in healthy ways, and I'm honest about the limitations I need to set on myself. Like, I don't pursue certain things because, well, if I sit down and think about it, what would that path take? And what would it cost me? And so that's part of building your routine. Because it's about, like, what kind of life do you want to live? You don't have to live any of these lives that everyone's like selling. And like, there's so many different jobs and lives of people that I've met, and I was like, that wasn't even presented as a choice. And did I lack imagination? To an extent, there's like shelter, right? So some of it is lack of imagination, and some of it is just being in a sheltered environment and community and society that doesn't share these things. And that's why everything's so traumatic. And I think lying to children and them growing up and realizing the horrors of the world, I think that that's a form of PTSD. I think that's a form of abuse. Not that it necessarily needs to be prosecuted. It needs to be acknowledged. There needs to be awareness into it, because it is causing trauma to the psyche and to the nervous system. And I know that it sounds crazy, but even something as like a lie about Santa Claus, like, be honest about the essence of Santa Claus, the egregore that is Santa Claus. Be honest about the history of everything. And then it's not so traumatizing when the truth comes out. Like, when I found out how babies actually were made, fucking freaked me out that was going to happen to me, because it was so terrifying. Like birth is terrifying. And it's like, oh, I thought I was fine and I could be a mother because a stork is going to bring me a baby, right? Like all the lies that you tell children. But no, I have to do what? That's going to happen to me if I want a child. Then it's like, do I even really want a child? Like, and you have to have those thoughts, real honest thoughts. Like, would I be a good mother? Do I want to, like, here's the thing, I could be a good mother. I could be a really good mother, but do I really want to be a mom? Is that what I really want to pursue? Or is that something, is it a maybe? Like you have to sit in deep assessment. And this kind of ties into my last podcast where I really talk about appreciation for Libra energy, because this Libra energy really taught me to sit in this balance of like, what do I really want? And then my Cancer rising, which is all about how you feel, ties into like the deep emotion and also the moodiness and the moon energy, right? Of saying the waning. Yeah, every day is going to be different because like that's just honestly like I have generalized structures. And so again, that's awareness of things. And you have to start somewhere. So you start with like, what kind of life do you want to live? Who do you want to be? And then you start strategizing like how to get there. And breaking that down into the mundane is like, well, I have a chakra system. Every day of the week is associated with a certain chakra. There's 7 days of the week for a reason. That 7-day cycle, I don't, as or how do I word this? So I believe that humans have deterred far, far away from nature and we are off cycle, right? We are in balance. However, people say that there is like a 7-day loop and there's no reason for it. Well, there's a 7 chakra system. So seven's not insignificant. And there was like originally 7 planets in astrology. So like I'm not too quick to dismiss that. So, but I don't want to get stuck in a loop. And so that's why like every Monday it's a sacral chakra day and I have a list of things that like of options to do. This would be the most energetically supportive for a Monday, a moon day that is it's for sacral chakra. So sacral chakra work, tasks that relate to the sacral chakra. You have to build your relationship with the chakra. What is your relationship to the chakra? More Libra energy. Well, sacral, it's not the root, it would be like the trunk. Right? It would be at the top of the ground breaking. So the root chakra is beneath the ground. The sacral is that foundation above ground foundation. What do you need in your hierarchy of needs for your foundation, your roots? What nurtures and nourishes your roots? I feel so dumb saying nurtures and nourishes all the fucking time. By the way, I just want to admit that. It feels so dumb and I feel like I'm saying it wrong. But I don't know better words. I really need to dive back into a thesaurus. I'm getting too repetitive in some of the shit that I say. But that's the truth. Like you want your roots to be really fucking healthy. And so that's like root chakra, which is Saturday, which is Saturn, which is discipline. So it's shifting your perspective into these symbols and it's relationship to you and maybe your birth chart if you're really into astrology. But that's how I build my routine. And it is incredibly stressful to calculate because I don't deny most calendars. You can only embrace so many calendars, and that's why I don't worry about like the Vedic system like too much. Like I have an understanding of it, and I go to it when I need it. It serves a purpose. But you have to prioritize your focus. And so right now I've really focused on tropical astrology. As I have that calendar, and then I have the Gregorian calendar, I have the seasonal calendar, and I have a lot of then my chakra calendar, and then things apply to my birth chart. Then you have the moon, there's all of these calendars, right? And so you're making decisions for what's going to best support you energetically that day, towards your dream life, your soul purpose, and all of those things. So again, ritualizing it. So you should have a lot of joy. You should be excited, yes, I get, and someone told me that, which I loved. I think I mentioned this before, but a guy a personal trainer at a gym, I may have wrote about it, but he loved that I would say, I get to go to work, I get to do this. And as that has changed a lot in my life, but generally speaking, Yeah, I get to wake up every morning. I love when I get to do my skincare. I love when I get to write. I really found like, well, I have this attitude, like because there was a point in my life where I was just really grateful to have a job at all. And I think that everyone has to have a moment like that in their life just to genuinely appreciate what that represents. I don't want to sound spoiled or entitled in any type of way. Like, I had a moment. I've worked really hard in my life. I've had some type of job in self-income for me since I was 11 years old. I hustled chores with my grandparents. I taught swimming lessons, like lifeguarding. I did like concession stands. They called it like a runner for the Kayak World Series. Like, I was always hustling and trying to find a way to make money to get the things that I wanted, because I knew that was the only way I was going to get it, is if I got it for myself. My mom, like, I wanted knee-high Converse. Well, my mom, she was going to buy me a pair of shoes for school, but not those ones. Well, those are the shoes that I want for school. If I'm getting a new pair of shoes, these are the ones that I want. I had to work to earn those, and then she bought me like an average pair of shoes. I was like, she's like, you're not gonna wear those every day. They turned out to be a pain in the ass, and it was really hard to wear them every day because I had gym class. And so having shoes that take 10 minutes to put on is hard when you're switching classes and you're in gym, and like that was kind of annoying. But if it wasn't for gym class, school would have been fine, and they could have been my daily shoes, and I would have been really fucking happy. The only reason that they became a problem is because of gym, and I could have found a better solution to that, and I was a child and didn't have any guidance because my mother honestly didn't really want me to wear them to begin with. But that's part of making sure that you purchase things. That's part of ritualizing your routine, your money routines, your spending habits. Everything's a habit. So there's like the basic self-care. So in OT, you have your ADLs, activities of daily living, and that is your basic needs. So that's eating, eating. Oh my gosh, there's seven of them, I'm pretty sure. Sex is on there, and so I think that's really important because people like to pretend that humans aren't sexual beings. I will die on that hill as well. And then you have your IADLs, which are instrumental activities of daily living. So again, you have your root chakra. Sorry, let's go this way. So you have your root chakra with the ADLs, and then you have your sacral chakra, which are your IADLs. So I associate that with Monday, and that fluctuates, but it's like admin work. And there's a reason why people have this attitude about Monday. It's like, well, get it as if you make Monday your Sunday reset day, life is so much better. Because Sunday's crown chakra day, and that's a completely different set of rules. And I think people energetically are misconnected to frequencies, vibes, whatever. The names of days are there for a reason. Names of months are for a reason. Everything has intention to it. So you need to align yourself with that intention and have it bend to your will in a way that serves you best. So if I want to have an artist life, so if I'm having to business my art and I'm trying to build this, what is going to help me sacrally set up? Well, I need to clean the house. I need to do things, not just for my fourth house energy, but as a positive exchange for with my husband. We need to get this stuff taken care of. He's at work, so I can do all the stuff that I'm doing. But a good reset is to make sure all of this is taken care of. He's not upset. I'm not upset. No one's uncomfortable. We have that taken care of. And then I do admin stuff, just other little organizing things. But it's all set with intention, because then another layer to that depends on what phase the moon is in. So some things never change, like changing the sheets and other laundry, vacuuming, whatever. Those things don't change. But I add the intention of cleansing. I'm not just cleaning for hygiene and looks or this or that. It's a cleanse, clearing out energy. Like the dog hair shed from the dogs for a reason, especially when you know what dogs do for you energetically, and same with the kitty cat. So you vacuum out their dog hair and you release it. I do wish there was better waste management system. That is out of my control. That's a bigger fish than me. So I just do it the best that I can, and I try to dispose of things ethically as I possibly can. When you find out that even ethically doing something isn't ethical, we're all just doing the best we can with what we have, right? And that goes into ritualizing your routine. lots of grace, but you have to kind of start planning it. And it takes time, it takes trial and error, because again, you're personalizing this for you. So there is like that level of traditionalism of like, hey, well, this is what so-and-so did, or this is what they've done historically. And so I firmly believe it's important to learn tradition, but you have to evolve it for yourself. And that is Capricorn, Aquarius, Saturn. Root, okay? Saturn is the root chakra. So Saturn, so Capricorn and Aquarius is deeply important into your foundation of ritual and connecting to Saturn, the devil, because it's hard work. It's the material world. It's the physical plane. So it's the mundane things that you have to do every single day that people want to poo-poo on. And you have to find a way to find joy in that. You have to find a way to make it fun. And sometimes, I'm sorry, but it's smoking weed. Sometimes you gotta smoke weed to push through and make it enjoyable, because there's a point where it's no longer enjoyable, but you still have to get the work done. And that goes into endurance. And some days you have more endurance or motivation than others. Like there's that whole ebb and flow. And as I have painfully not mastered, I'm still learning this. I have no idea when it'll sink in. But you can't have this all or nothing mentality. But I like things to be perfect right out the gate. So you gotta be patient as well. Because like I said, things change. So that you have to be adaptable. And that's like more water symbolism of like flow. Pisces and Saturn talk. I've learned a lot my Pisces return, okay? Just like really sharing everybody all these like really harsh lessons of this Piscean energy. I hope I didn't flash anybody. Free shows. It's not like people don't see it in my art anyway, but whatever. Hold on, let me recenter a second. So yeah, so just kind of like I said, there's so many different ways you can focus on it, but you kind of have to figure out your problem area and focus on that. And then when that's no longer a problem area, then focus on another problem area. And if you have multiple problem areas, you have to prioritize, because even in like the ADLs or IADLs, there's still an order of what's like most important. Feeding and toileting are like number one in that way. I can't fully remember the order, and I don't want to tell people the wrong order, but obviously like food, water is like shelter type things number one, then bathing, toileting, like, because that can be icky and that can cause detriment to your health, right? So you have to just be really honest and make sure you're prioritizing the right things. So this was a lesson from RB. Okay, so I told him I was going to give him a shout out. I want to do a more formal one, but I'm also going to talk about him on here. But something that he taught me, and it really helped shift a lot, and it kind of, I don't know the visual of that, but things started to really fall in place. It was just like and it was like the switch that locked everything in. That's a good way of explaining it. I'm picturing something completely different. He said it's the wrong act of self-sacrifice or sacrifice, because sacrifice is to make something sacred. Everyone who's heard me talking about this whole animal sacrifice situation knows how I feel about making things sacred, which goes into your routine. Everything should be intentional and sacred for the life that you love, for the life of your dreams. You should be excited to be every part of it. And if you're not excited about something, that's something you need to change and heal and really put the work into, right? But anyway, so if you're sacrificing something, make that sacrifice an act of self-worship. So like going to the gym, that is a sacrifice. You're sacrificing time, energy, money for health, wealth, and abundance in like all of these ways, because your body's a temple and you're taking care of yourself. And exercise is a form of cleansing, not just through sweating, but through circulation. It's grounding. So exercise is a root and sacral connection that is necessary for arguably everybody to some degree. And you gotta find ways. So if you don't love going to the gym, like this was a fucking argument I always had with my mom, because she hated when I'd be like, dude, if you're not happy with how you look or this or that or whatever, just go to the gym. Like there are options. She's like, well, I don't like going to the gym, and I get it. It's not always fun to go to the gym. I was like, then find an activity. Like go join a yoga class, join Pilates, like find a soccer team, pick like a volleyball like park group to like be a part of, like fucking figure it out, but like do something about it. Like I don't understand when people don't do things to solve their problems. Like if I'm complaining about a problem, it's because I'm actively solving it, and complaining about it is me soundboarding to help solve it faster and better with other perspectives. Like I'm not having a pity party just to have a pity party, and I'm not doing things about it. Like I'm doing a lot about it. And I will also admit to people when I'm stuck. And so you have to admit when you're stuck. You have to admit when you're just like bitching and complaining and victimizing yourself, which is fine. We all have I'm not perfect. I have moments. They're just brief. My whole point for myself is like my moments are brief, and I get really frustrated with people when it's like I feel like you're stuck in the pity party, and you can't admit it. Like if I'm stuck in a pity party, I tell people, hey, I know I'm stuck in a pity party right now, but like I really have to sit with this grief to release it. And I'm really trying not to project it onto people. Like I have a lot of self-awareness, and you have to have relentless self-awareness and radical accountability. Not to blame yourself for everything in like a victim shaming way. You have to learn how to talk to yourself, but you have to be like, this is how I co-created this. And just that mentality, it helps. Like people talk about how it makes you unstoppable. It's just a really healing approach, because yes, this was an injustice done, and I am a victim. This was abuse. However, to be brutally honest with myself, this is what I could have done better, and this is how I'm going to take that moving forward, but I'm not going to dwell on it. But you still have to process it, and that goes back to exercise. Exercise helps things not get stored in the body. On an emotional level, if you've ever had a really intense workout exercise routine, and you break down into tears, that is deep stored trauma releasing, and it is so nice. So I like to encourage people to, you have to build that into your routine. Society doesn't allow us time and resources to build it into your routine. It's really hard. And that goes into what I call radical rebellion, and self-worship, the sacrifice that I was memorializing with what RB Dark Path Guide said, and that is making that an act of self-worship. And so it's essentially being willing to die for it. It's being willing to sacrifice, to an extent, sleep, but that's an argument because sleep is really important. So what are you willing to sacrifice? And in this modern culture, in this modern economy, I would say that people need to sacrifice certain job security for radical rebellion. There needs to be that boycotting against the workforce because we're not being treated fairly. No one is being treated fairly except fucking billionaires and certain people, right? It should, again, our poorest person should have a high standard of luxury, and that is a reflection on our leaders. Our leaders are inaccurately, improperly, insufferably leading us into our own demise, and they don't care. And this goes into a lot of other things I've talked about with whether it's animal sacrifice or my philosophy about life. We are going to kill ourselves. This is so much chaos and civil unrest for nuclear war, and we need to find harmony in relationship with people. We need to reconnect to the humanity within one another, and that we need to quit falling for these divide and otherings of others. It doesn't matter how different you are than me, you're still a fucking human being. And every human being in occupational therapy, it didn't matter who I fucking worked with, what disability they had, what their story was, how rich they were, how poor they were. It didn't fucking matter. Everyone had the basic needs. Everyone had the basic needs. It didn't matter who you were. You still needed me. You still needed me to help you. And no one was better than anyone else. Because you were all here at the same place, needing the same person to provide you with the same help, assistance. So we need to help ourselves, and we need to help each other. And that starts by choosing ourselves and our needs. And I think that means prioritizing, sleep, food, exercise, healthy socialization patterns, healthy spending habits. There's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Do the best you can. I keep telling people, you gotta do the best you can. You gotta pick and choose your sacrifices. You're not gonna be able to sacrifice everything, but make sure you're sacrificing the right things. All right? Make sure you're sacrificing the right things for the right reasons, and sometimes you have to give in to something. There's stuff I just had to get on Amazon. I tried figuring out a different way to get it within my budget, within stores around me, all of the above. I just had to do it. And I don't need to be guilted or shamed into that, and us like guilting and shaming other people for not being better in like ridiculous ways. Like there's a time and a place to like encourage someone to be better. But like, oh, you shopped at this store and you're boycotting Target, you shopped at Walmart. It's like, dude, those are my two choices. It must fucking win the town that I live in, or within my budget. Like I you know, Publix is super expensive or whatever. Okay, everyone has their reasons. I just think people need to be a little bit more aware, because it doesn't take much. You hurt the profit just a smidge, and they're gonna start freaking out. They're gonna change something, you know. So just like stay the course. Like me, I chose myself by committing constantly over and over again, no matter how many times I had to go back to the day job and how many times I tried to build my own day job. Like the conclusion is I'm supposed to just be doing my art in the way that I'm doing it. I just have to commit to doing it. I just have to be patient. I just have to breathe. And I have to focus on my personal self-care routines and let things come to me at some point. I can't keep chasing the dollar. I can't keep chasing this illusion of security in corporate America. I can cultivate it for myself by having a healthy nervous system, by having a healthy just overall system, being a healthy person, and helping other people be healthy people through inspiration. And again, by just encouraging people to be more aware of like what they're doing for themselves. Like, are you actually happy? Like, I want to bring the life and the whimsy back. Remember when you were a child? I remember when everything was so exciting. Like, it was exciting to get to brush your teeth. You're so fucking excited because you got your cool ass toothbrush and your fun toothpaste, and maybe like, I don't know, some of them played songs, but like making things fun. Ritualizing your routine is finding ways to make things fun and joyous, and working towards being who you've always wanted to be, because that's who you are. Okay, I've always wanted long, luscious black hair, and no, it's not necessarily natural. It's as natural as possible. I try to ethically source and use good brands to the best of my ability, but I take really good care of my hair, and I accept the imperfections, like some of the frizz, and then I know that my roots are showing, and I, you know, all the mystery is gone. She's a natural blonde. Like a big fucking deal to people when my roots show. I'm tired of feeling ashamed for that. Like, your hair's got to grow, and it's got to grow out to get it redone again, and it has to grow out to a certain length, or else you're just like, you're over consuming, and that's not cool. I used to get my hair done religiously every 4 weeks, and then I went to get it, like, Paul did it for free for me when I was like going through my foreclosure and all kinds of stuff, and he did mine and my husband's hair for free. I think the longest one was 9 months without getting it done, and like, God for my lovely Taurus. Like, oh, my beautician, my hairdresser, I love Paul. I'm so happy I met him in Michigan. But he like helped me understand that balance of like ritualizing the routine. He's like, you don't have to go without. We'll work something out. But no, I can't do it every 4 weeks like I was paying. But I was also working 70-something hour weeks to afford to do that. And so like you're sacrificing something, and it's like, what is really worth it? What's really the balance? And like, what are your ethics and your morals? Like, figuring yourself out and ritualizing your routine is just, it's a lot of accountability. It's a lot of honesty about who you are and what you want. And okay, if you don't want to wake up to an alarm, it's okay. If you want to be able to sleep until 10 and stay up till 2 a.m., find avenues to make that work for you, because I still do believe that people need to be of service and contributing members to society. But we need to acknowledge that every role is important, and this whole hierarchy and competition of whose role is more important, whose dick is bigger, is fucking stupid. Because just because you got a big dick doesn't mean you know how to fuck. You know what I mean? So, to be crude about it, to really make a point, figure out who you are and what you like, what is perfect for you, and what value does it serve society. Like, art serves value. The things that I do, you can't tell me that it doesn't have value and that I don't deserve to be compensated fairly. And compensation of fairness is a luxurious life, which means that I have a house that is quality built. I'm able to take care of myself to the highest standard of I possibly can. You know, it's just like if you're going to have like a show dog or like a racehorse, you give them the best of the best. Top athletes get the best of the best. Everybody as a species, as a society, should be getting the best of the best. The fact that we're only giving some people the good stuff and like then science experimenting like other people is just fucking insane. So how do you give yourself the best? And that's gonna look different depending on where you are, but it's continuing to grow each time. That's the stepping stone, that's the strategy, is give yourself the best that you can with where you're at. And then once you get to that next level, you just keep going, keep building. And it's a lot of prioritization. So anyway, with that, I'm gonna kind of conclude the video because like I said, this could be hours. We're just going in different circles and directions. But it starts with like self-discovery and research and building the life that you want to, not the structure that you were told. Your system is unique. Everyone's as unique as a snowflake. We're all fingerprints that we're not the same. Everything is different. Every tree is different, no matter where it came from. Diversity within yourself, and build a routine that fits you, but be honest about what that is, and then start figuring out ways to continue to make it work for yourself. That is manifesting your reality. And when you shift yourself into being that way, like people have repeated this till they're blue in the face, but like that's the whole point of like fake it till you make it. You have to walk your talk. You can't just want something. You have to take action. But it's intentional action, not burnout action, not action out of fear. It's action out of love. So ritualize your routine is rooted in love for yourself, in worshiping yourself to be the best flower, tree, owl, dog, bird, human being that you possibly can be. And however that looks for you. And as long as it's not harming others, I don't think that we should be having so much hateful debate, because if it's really that far out of your preference, it's not that hard to ignore things or stay away from it, while also still respecting the autonomy of life. There is just general human decency that we all can be sharing, and that starts through acts of self-worship, because usually people are mad that they don't get to live that the way that they, like, I don't get to live the way I want to live, so you can't live the way that you want to live, or, oh, I had to go through this to be who I want to be, so you have to go through it. If it was difficult for me, it has to be difficult for you. Let's just get rid of the difficultness altogether. And that doesn't mean there isn't going to be adversarial challenges. That's the thing that I think bothers me the most, is people think that if you make things too easy, then people don't learn. No, there's always resistance within, but there doesn't have to be so much resistance unless the person. Some people do need to learn things the hard way in a variety of ways. Been there myself, but I don't think it should be the hard way first. I think it should be like, hey, it should be simple, and then you have to make it hard through your own lack of self-discipline, not from others imposing their will onto you, which is what happens in childhood. That's why a lot of people are fucked up, is because you have adults imposing their will on children instead of growing them to be beautiful versions of themselves. So that's why everything's connected to the inner child, and the nervous system, and why that is really important with magic and rituals and routines. Yeah, anyway, I will reiterate specific questions on how to build that, whether it's like a glamour magic routine, a fitness routine, a financial routine. Like, let me know. I'll kind of break down some of the things that I've learned on how to manage all of this. But when I tell people that, like, I'm a deeply intentional person or a spiritual person, I want people to know that, like, I talk about astrology, or I wanted to talk about Jesus a lot, or whatever it was at any moment in my life. Whether it was a 5-year-old girl who wanted a Jesus birthday party, or whether I've been who I am now, what the fuck was I going to say? Oh, Jesus Christ. That sucks. Like, again, just completely blank because the daydreams are sad. Well, I guess, like, I've been who I've been. I fucking stupid. I hate that shit so fucking much. Yeah, I've been who I've been. No matter where I've been, like a spiritually driven person. So I talk about all of these things I apply all these things together on my social media and in my personal life. I'm an annoying astrology girly or whatever. Like, I've heard a lot of different things about how I express myself, and it's just who I am. Like, if you really hate astrology that much, like, please don't talk to me, because I'm gonna bring astrology into everything because it's how I see the world. I see the world through a spiritual lens, and I really want to teach people to see the world through a spiritual lens. So finally, thank you, brain, for coming back to that. That was important. So anyway, much love. Thank you for drinking the moon juice, and I hope this helps everyone start ritualizing their routine much more.